Hi everybody, it's Miss D'Angelo. Today we're going to work on FL exit ticket 217. Julio, Julius for Sean, you are missing this one. Make sure everybody else, you check that you are not missing it. We are going to start out by watching two videos. In order to understand the question, you need to watch these fully. I try to pick short ones. So we're going to watch one about the Scottsboro boys, and then we're going to watch one about Claudette Colvin. Let me new share my sound. Turn off my video so you can focus.
This program is brought to you by Emory University.
One of the most interesting, crazy, incredible cases of American jurisprudence deals with Scottsboro. Again, you can't understand unless you've got the context of the Great Depression. You have folks riding the rails looking for work just because they can't afford to, I'll go find this job here. So they're just hopping on a train and riding in, trying to find work wherever they can find work. Well, what happens in the Scottsboro case is you have 9 black teenagers, and some of them get in a fight on the train with a couple of white guys. The train stops in Scottsboro, because this fight has broken out. As they're getting off the train, as the sheriff's folks are there, the white guys get off, the black guys get off, and then 2 white women get off. And the townsfolk are looking around going, oh. And the white women, because you've got black guys and white women in Alabama in the early 1930s, I believe 1932. It's like, whoa. And the women, Victoria Price and Ruby Bates, yell rape and say that these 9 black teenagers raped them. The town immediately took the 9 kids, hauled them in jail. There was a 1-day trial for these 9 kids that ranged from the age of like 12 or 13 to 17, known as the Scottsboro Boys. In this trial, Victoria Price described a horrific rape. Well, the problem was that the doctor who had examined these women said, there's no evidence of rape here. But that didn't stop the jury. The doctor now didn't testify that there was no evidence of rape, but it was very clear that he knew there was no evidence of rape, and he had told folks there was no evidence of rape. These 9 black teenagers were convicted, and rape was an executable offense in the 1930s. And so in a 1-day trial, 8 of them were sentenced to die in the electric chair. The youngest was sentenced to life imprisonment in an Alabama prison. Now, there are multiple problems with that story. One, Ruby Bates, one of the women who had yelled rape, recanted, said it didn't happen. Now, let me tell you what really happened here. We're prostitutes. And the Mann Act, the Federal Mann Act, says that we were afraid of because you can't cross state lines for immoral purposes. And since we crossed over out of Tennessee and Alabama, we were afraid that we might get brought up on federal charges. So we were just trying to protect ourselves. And so we just said, rape. Another part of the problem was that first the Communist Party's legal wing hopped in there and took this case up to the Supreme Court to try to protect the Scottsboro Boys. Then the NAACP hopped in it. But a major Supreme Court decision was the Powell v. Alabama decision that came after this. Because think about this. You're on trial for your very life for a crime that never happened. Your court-appointed attorneys, one is the town drunk. I believe at the time he may have had a blood alcohol level of 0.2. I mean, lit. The other attorney in a capital case is probably in about the 4th stages of senility. So one of your attorneys is senile, looking for butterflies, and the other one is drunk, seeing butterflies. Now, the Supreme Court, even the Supreme Court in the 1930s went, really? No, come on. Come on. This is just too much even for us. And they remanded the case, they kicked the case back down. You got to try these fellas again. Well, what happens now that they've got a real legal team is that they began to construct the train and found out that many of the Scottsboro boys weren't even in the same car as the women. So how can a rape happen if the guys aren't in that car? They were convicted once again. Case goes back up to the Supreme Court. By the time there were so many egregious constitutional errors in this case that by the time the Scottsboro case is done, and eventually they start getting let out one by one by one by one, it took first 18 years for the last one. Imagine being in prison, in an Alabama prison. You are 17. You get out when you're 35 for a crime that never happened, a crime where one of the women has recanted, a crime where the evidence demonstrates that you couldn't have done this thing. This would be called an egregious wrong. You also had several who had escaped. Imagine trying to escape from an Alabama chain gang, but they managed to get out. Michigan refused. Alabama tracked one down up into Michigan. Michigan refused, and think about this, a state refusing to extradite a convicted felon back to Alabama because Michigan looked up and said, this is wrong. This is just wrong. The last one was pardoned by Governor George Wallace sometime, I believe, in the 1980s. So imagine again, basically living in the shadows for almost 40, 50 years because of something that never happened, the charge of rape. I mean, Scottsboro speaks to so much in the criminal justice system. But what you also get in this is a series of Supreme Court decisions dealing with the right to competent counsel. Thank God. And the right to have a jury that is really, truly a jury of your peers. Now, that is some amazing jurisprudence that is coming out of this case of horrific, egregious, unjust, justifiable. I have no more words for what happened at Scottsboro, but an egregious wrong that, in my eyes, has never been righted.
The preceding program is copyrighted by Emory University. This program is brought to you by Emory University.
Okay, everybody. So basically, we just learned about who the Scottsboro boys were and what the case was about. Now you're going to have to talk about who is sorry, my brain is shutting down, Claudette Colvin, and describe her case and talk about her. I'm going to specifically help you with the Scottsboro boy case, but since you guys have read the Claudette Colvin book, I'm going to allow you to do most of that by yourself. And so I'm going to start it here. I want you to follow along. You're going to fill basically in the blanks. So I hope that you can see, actually, let me make sure you can still see my screen. Yep. All right. All right, so what is the sentence then? The Scottsboro boy case showed, okay, so why did it show a failure in the justice system? All right, the Scottsboro case showed a failure within the U.S. criminal justice system because 9 boys were convicted of a crime they did not commit. They were held in jail for over 18 years. I'm going to say Some of them were held in jail. Some of them were held in jail for over 18 years, even after the prime witness confessed they lied to protect themselves. The case of Claudette Colvin was a failure of the judicial system because, now I'm going to talk this out for you. So a judicial system is like, think of anything like cops, court, laws, right? So let's think about Claudette Colvin here. She specifically, when she did not get up to give her seat up, was following the federal law. The federal law said that we were not going to segregate anymore. And that law protected her. And so she followed that law by not giving up. And she stated that she was following that law. But the police and the town and the state in which she was living did not follow the laws. And so because law was in question, they had to go to court. And that's what we're going to look at. I want you to tell me, how did the court case go and what happened? So if you need to rewind this a little bit and just listen to my talking it out again so that you can fill out what happened to Claudette Colvin, what happened when she said no, getting off the bus, what did the police do, and what did the court system do? Okay, that's it. That's all you need to do. Great job. Bye. And